All right, welcome back to the Dangers and Dragons podcast, listeners. Every day, a new adventure, right? Today, we're diving into fault lines. It's about high schoolers, normal kids who suddenly get, like, superpowers.
And not just any powers, these are reality-bending abilities that force them to deal with a world that's, well, kind of falling apart.
Yeah, and they have their own personal drama going on, too. It all begins in a physics classroom. Pretty ordinary, right? But these students are about to get a lesson in how wrong reality can get.
Imagine a desk splitting in half, just like that, and then a student disappears, poof, in a flash of blue light. And get this, through a rip in the wall, they see like an upside-down city, all shimmery and weird.
It's not just a visual thing, though. This rift is the source of all the weird stuff happening.
And that's where the powers come in. Glowing eyes, phasing through stuff, even connecting to the rift's energy, like X-Men in high school.
But instead of Magneto, they've got the principal who's turned into a human disco ball with a force field.
Everyone in school got some power, it seems. The question is, what caused this rift, and can they close it?
At first, they're just trying to survive, figure things out. Sarah, she seems to be the smart one, discovers she can kind of control the rift, make it bigger, smaller, but closing it. Nope, not happening.
A school full of superpowered teens, a portal to who knows where stuck in the wall, and a principal who's basically a walking rave. What could go wrong, right?
Besides the obvious, their first instinct isn't exactly teamwork. Old rivalries pop up, blame games, and it just adds to the crazy situation.
Makes sense, though. You throw in superpowers in a world-changing event, any tension is going to explode. How does our main character deal with this?
He's struggling not just with the outside chaos, but also what the rift's doing to him. He's buzzing with energy all the time, jittery, gets angry easily, like he's mirroring the whole unstable situation.
Almost like he's become the physical embodiment of the rift's unpredictability. But here's where it gets interesting. We meet Alex, the quiet kid, the one who blends in.
The quiet ones, right. Always something going on with him. What's his deal?
Alex gets this power to walk through shadows, not just regular shadows, the ones in the rift's weird echo world. And what he finds there is scary. The rift's not just a portal, it's hungry. And every time they use their powers, they're feeding it.
Hold on, so they're not heroes. They're basically a buffet for this thing. That's a twist. What do they do then? How do you even fight a hungry rift?
Their solution is kind of desperate, kind of funny. They decide to overload the rift with their combined energy, hoping it'll spit them out, like reject them, and their method. Holding hands in a circle, focusing all their power.
Wait, seriously? A super-powered high school kumbaya moment. I gotta hear how this looks.
Picture this. Emily shooting light blasts, the protagonist crackling with energy, even Principal Harris throwing his disco ball force field in. It's chaos, pure, blinding energy aimed at the rift. And the rift. Not happy about it at all.
I bet. What happens then? Does it work?
The rift starts warping, screaming, spewing light and ozone like a cosmic tantrum. Then, for a second, everyone in the circle is duplicated. There's a snap, a flash, and boom, everything's normal again. They're back in the classroom, desk fixed, powers gone.
Just like that. Back to square one.
Well, not really. They're back to their lives, but the experience has changed them. They're getting tests, quarantined, even hints of the government getting involved.
Sounds like a bureaucratic nightmare. But you said something else changed, something deeper. What's that about?
The real healing's within the group. The rift might be gone, but going through that together, it changed them.
So facing a world-ending event actually brought them closer. That's kind of ironic, isn't it?
It highlights that sometimes it takes a crazy crisis to make us face our own internal ones. All that tension, the blame, it seems like going through that mess together made them rethink things.
I guess after holding hands to fight a hungry rift, arguing over homework doesn't matter much. What's the takeaway for them? What's the long-term impact?
As they walked out of that school, something felt healed. Not the rift, but the cracks between them. It's a powerful image, how shared adversity can create genuine connections.
So it wasn't just about saving the world, it was about saving themselves. Facing the cosmic weirdness was one thing, but facing themselves and each other, that was the real challenge. Back again with the Dangers and Dragons podcast. We're still in the middle of Fault Lines, this story that's gone from physics class to like an interdimensional battle, all while exploring how messy relationships can be.
Quite the ride, right? And it keeps going from here. Last we heard, the group was back to their normal lives, but something about them had changed deep down.
You mentioned healing. What does that actually look like?
The experience with the rift, scary as it was, it forced them to face their own, inner rifts, all those little conflicts, the blaming each other. It all seemed tiny after facing, a cosmic thing.
So instead of breaking them apart, this trauma brought them together. I can't imagine that's easy.
Not at all. But the story emphasizes how, when they left that school, something felt different. Not the building, but how they were with each other. Like the experience had, I don't know, cauterized those wounds.
That's a strong image. So less about physical healing, more about the emotional, relational stuff.
Exactly. Think about it. You're in a situation where your best chance of survival is holding hands in a circle to overload a hungry, interdimensional being. After that, arguing over homework, it just doesn't matter.
What a realization. Almost like facing that cosmic weirdness was what they needed to, discover themselves and connect better.
The story makes it clear, true friendship, it's not passive, it's a choice. Choosing to close those gaps, especially when things are tough.
It makes you think about the rifts in our own lives.
Right.
Those conflicts, misunderstandings, distances that stop us from really connecting.
The story pushes us to face those rifts head on. To choose connection, forgiveness, understanding.
It reminds us that sometimes being a hero isn't about saving the world from some big threat.
It's about saving our relationships from those everyday things that try to pull us apart.
So what happens in the story next? How do they deal with this new closeness they have?
Well, the rift's closed, but the story's not over. Remember those hints about the government? That wasn't just a side detail.
The mysterious government agents. What's their role in all this? What do they want?
That's what we'll uncover in the last part of Fault Lines.
Stay with us, listeners. We're going into the final act of this story right after a quick word from our sponsors. And we're back for the final part of Fault Lines here on the Dangers and Dragons podcast. We've been through a lot: interdimensional rifts, powers popping up, and seeing how powerful shared experiences can be.
Yeah, we left off with those hints about the government getting involved, those kind of shadowy figures in the background.
What's their story? Are they good guys, bad guys, something else? What do they want with these teenagers?
The story doesn't give us clear answers, but it does make you think about control, about things we don't understand. These kids, they went through something that doesn't make sense, something that messes with the whole idea of what's real.
And of course, the people in charge. They want to figure it out, contain it, get it under control, right?
It's a natural reaction, I guess. When we run into something we don't get, we try to label it, put it in a neat little box, make it fit into what we already know.
But this story shows us some things you can't just contain or control. The connection these students built, the way they pulled together in all that chaos, it goes beyond logic and explanation.
It tells us something bigger, I think. Even now, when we try to explain everything with science, there's still so much mystery and wonder in the world. Forces at work that we might never fully grasp.
Maybe that's all right. Maybe accepting the unknown, that some things are out of our hands, is part of what makes life interesting.
Totally. This story isn't just about superpowers and creatures from other dimensions. It's about how tough the human spirit is, our ability to connect and find meaning, even when things are totally crazy.
A message of hope, of resilience. Even when reality seems to be breaking apart, we have the strength inside us, in our communities, to find our way back to each other.
It reminds us that the most amazing stories often come from the most unexpected places.
And that the best adventures are the ones we go on together. Fault Lines has been a wild ride, full of twists and turns and some deep ideas.
What sticks with you most from this story? What will you take away from it?
I think for me, it's remembering that the real rifts we need to deal with are often inside us, in our relationships. It's about making that choice to connect, to forgive, to build bridges instead of walls.
Well said. We hope you'll think about the fault lines in your own life and how you can bridge those gaps to create deeper, more meaningful connections.
And that's the end of another episode of the Dangers and Dragons podcast.
A huge thank you to all our listeners for joining us on this adventure.
Don't forget to rate and follow the show for more addictive stories, epic quests, crazy tales, and legendary adventures. We'll see you next time. Keep those imaginations going. And remember, the strongest force in the universe might just be human connection.